You know, guys, Sundays are supposed to be that one day in the week that you just relax, right? That there's no issues, you don't need to worry about anything, you just stay at home and you relax. Unfortunately, here for us, playing Call of Duty before MW2 comes out, it just seems like every single day there is some intel or a leak about MW2 that comes out, and more often than not, it's not good news. It's almost always bad news. And before anybody gets upset, oh Fooly, you're just ranting for views again. Listen up, man. This is a problem that is likely to affect absolutely everybody, alright? This isn't me just cherry picking like, oh, I don't like the footsteps, I want dead silence as a perk. No, this is something that affects the entire community playing the game. And I truly believe like a lot of people are gonna discuss about this. There's gonna be two sides to this. One half that believes this should happen, the other half that believes this should not happen. And before I get into it, again, I just want to say I don't hate MW2. I want it to be good. I know the MW 2019 gooch slickers always get really upset with me every time I talk about the two games, but if we're gonna be honest, I don't think I should pay attention to the MW 2019 gooch slickers opinions because, I mean, just look at the gameplay in the background, man. I do some fucked up shit to them. You should see when I get a gunship towards the end of the gameplay. But listen, this is a problem that is likely to affect absolutely everybody playing the game, whether you're a fan or not. Now, this comes from the Ghost of Hope just a couple of hours ago. He says, been hearing that IW and Activision are debating the content schedule at the moment for MW2. Activision wants InfinityWard to spread the content over launch/November/December, but InfinityWard wants to drop as much content as possible all at once. Activision are worried about post-launch sales mainly. He quote tweets himself a little bit later saying, it's surprising to see where InfinityWard and Activision land on this. Activision are not doing it because they care about the devs though. They're doing it because they're worried about post-launch sales dipping. InfinityWard being on that side implies they have proper resources and time to do what they want. And if you go into the replies of these tweets, I mean, it is actually divided like almost in half. There's one side that actually sides with Activision, surprisingly, and then people who are siding with InfinityWard. Now, personally, I kind of have this in-between situation between the two sides. First of all, the Scadmaster is a really big fan of ownership. If you created something, right? If you and a team or you by yourself created anything at all, you should be free to do absolutely whatever you want with it. Even though I'm not a big fan of InfinityWard, if they feel like they created as much content as they possibly could and they have enough resources and time to do it, and they feel like they should give us a lot of content right up front because they have enough content to last them afterwards, then they should be able to do that. Activision probably shouldn't have a say in this. And that's just something that sucks for all the devs, alright? This is where I actually do feel for them. If they have their own plan or mindset on how something should be done and it actually sounds good, but Activision wants to do the exact opposite, it's gonna go Activision's way. That's just the way it always has been. Look at Treyarch, for example. They're working on their game, they're having fun with it, they're creating it the way they want to, they have this whole plan and schedule for it. Activision comes knocking on the door saying, hey, Sledgehammer and Raven Software fucked this game up, you're taking this game over, you're doing it this way. And that's how we got Cold War. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. With this situation, it genuinely seems like InfinityWard does have the time, and they did have the time to create this game the way they wanted to, and I personally feel like they have enough content to warrant a pretty good sized launch. Now, Activision doesn't want to do this because they fear that the post-game launch sales aren't going to be good, so what do they need to do from there? Just as an example, if InfinityWard wants to launch this game with 15 maps, and then every single season after that has 2 to 3 maps, then Activision is thinking that, you know what, they might run out of resources by the time the 2-year life cycle ends, and then people aren't going to be buying the game, they're sure as fuck not buying any more bundles, and then they're going to lose money, and Activision doesn't want that, clearly. So instead, what Activision probably does want is for InfinityWard to launch maybe 8 maps, for example, and then drip feed the content throughout 2 years. And this probably saves them a lot of money because, one, this would be content that was already made, that was already meant for the launch. You don't need to pay the devs to create more maps because they already have maps saved up, and then you could just drip feed the community month after month, and you probably save a lot of money as Activision. Now, a lot of people are siding with Activision surprisingly because I think they're afraid of MW2 having the same problem as Vanguard. Vanguard launched with 16 maps, which was great, but then every single season after that was complete dog shit when it came to content. 2 maps per season, 1 map every couple of months, which was dog shit, right? Nobody liked that. The community is right to be afraid of something like that happening again. But this is the difference. 1, Sledgehammer had less time to create Vanguard than InfinityWard had to create MW2, so I'm assuming at launch, InfinityWard actually does have enough maps to sustain a good launch and then seasons afterwards. With Vanguard, I'm pretty sure that they put all of their eggs in the basket for the launch, but as we know, Vanguard ended up sucking cock. Right? That game is not good in the slightest. It flopped so bad that Activision actually cut Sledgehammer's budget and they weren't able to create as many more maps afterwards. My thing with MW2 is that game is going to sell a shit ton by default. Not because the game is good, not because of any leaks that are coming out that sound good, because every single leak sounds like shit. That game is going to sell a lot by default because of its name, because of the nostalgia, because it's the sequel to MW 2019. This game is literally destined to create a shit ton of revenue for Activision. Now, as somebody who's not a fan of seasonal content in Call of Duty at all, I genuinely think they should meet in the middle and find the sweet spot, okay? 16 maps at launch sounds great like it did for Vanguard, but if the game ends up sucking and it's over the course of 2 years, it would be one of the fattest L's ever for InfinityWard to get their budget cut and then not be able to produce any more maps later on. However, having something like 8 to 10 maps at launch, I think that's too little. Now, you guys know how I feel about a game's launch. I think it is absolutely the most important thing about a game, especially if the post-launch content is already being planned, and especially if they have the resources and time to have produced a lot more things because they had an extra year to develop the game. Then meeting somewhere in the middle, like a good 12 maps to launch, and then 3 maps minimum per season, I think that would be the most ideal situation that we could have. Is that gonna happen? Again, I don't know, because it's up to Activision at the end of the day, which fucking sucks, and they're likely to pull the whole, oh, it's gonna have 8 to 10 maps at launch and then 2 maps per season, and that's gonna drag out for the course of 2 years, and that would fucking suck. But then again, at the same time, even though I want InfinityWard to have total ownership of the game and do whatever the fuck they want with it, if they put all of their eggs into the basket just like Sledgehammer did, and then MW2 ends up sucking, that's one of the worst case scenarios we could get, and that's exactly what happened with Vanguard. Look, if it were up to me, we wouldn't have any seasonal content at all because it's fucking whack. But if we're forced to have this dumbass shit, then you know what? Find the sweet spot in the middle. That's genuinely what I think should happen here. And look, I don't want to confuse anybody when I say this. I would absolutely love for MW2 to come out with like 16 maps and then every single season 3 maps minimum. Now, is there a likelihood of that happening? No, not at all. I would love that, but what I'm really afraid of happening is if they do choose to put all of their eggs into the basket, right? This next game launches with like 15, 16 maps. I genuinely want people to understand what would happen if the game ends up sucking. InfinityWard will have their budget cut, and the same shit that happened to Vanguard will happen again. Not only that, but some people are saying the pre-orders aren't really doing as good as they should be, and if we're already at a deficit right now, imagine what would happen a year and a half from now when there's still a few seasons left of the game and the game just isn't doing as good as it should be. And I'm not even making that up about the pre-orders. Somebody in the replies to the tweet ended up saying it's gonna sell millions regardless. The Ghost of Hope replies saying it dipping post-launch in sales is a real potential problem over there for Activision. It was also sort of implied to me that pre-orders might not be as high as they should be, but I think it's less of a COD problem per se and more of an inflation / world economy problem. And nah, that's a COD problem, bro. I'm not gonna lie. It's a COD problem. It has to be. People just aren't falling for the same shit anymore. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. People are finally learning. After 3 years of the same dumbass shit, yes, people are actually learning. At the end of the day, guys, this is why I say seasonal content is trash in COD. It just doesn't belong, and it creates so many more issues than there needs to be. It just complicates what we used to have for no reason, for the sake of money. Activision, you know what? Fuck you. But that's gonna do it for me today, guys. I'm curious to know what you guys think about this. What side are you guys on? Activision side or IW side? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notifications to stay up to date with my newest videos, and yeah guys, it's been the Scatmaster. I'm out this shit.
It's been a very long time since the weekend. It's been a very long time and I'm weak. It's been a very long time since you seen me. Don't know why